I'm Sandra Geyer. I'm a soprano singer, broadcast presenter and a braille music teacher, and a very warm welcome to episode 4 of our Journey Through Braille Music series, which in 6 episodes is revealing what braille music is all about. In episode 3, we learned about how the various types of vocal music are presented and how this is a wonderful opportunity to combine use of literary braille with the basics of braille music. Today, as we explore keyboard music, I'm welcoming back James Bowden. If you've just joined us, James is a blind pianist and organist who started learning braille music later on in primary school. His background is in mathematics and computer programming. Hello, James.
Hello.
Now, James, I think it would be helpful if you could remind us about braille music basics.
Yes, sure. So braille music takes the 64 patterns of a 6-dot braille cell, and rather than their usual literary meaning, they're all assigned a musical meaning. So, for example, the letter J in ordinary literary code is a B quaver. So basic notes work like this. The quavers are formed from dots of the top and middle rows of the braille cell. And then other note lengths like crotchets, minims and semibreves are formed by adding dots from the bottom row of the cell. And each note also has an equivalent sign for a rest. Now, unlike print music, where notes are placed on a stave with lines and spaces, braille music uses a same sign for the same note regardless of whatever its pitch is. So instead we use octave signs to indicate the pitch. And octave signs use dots from just the right-hand side of the braille cell. Middle C, for example, is called 4th octave C. It's the 4th C on a full-length piano, and octaves go from C up to the next B. As an aside, modern electronic music, like MIDI for example, has adopted the same system of octaves as braille. It's interesting how braille got there yet again well over a century before the modern technology. Some braille signs need 2 or more braille cells. Finally, in braille music, everything is in line with the one line. So I could have an expression mark, then a staccato or an accent, then a note, and then a tie or a slur, and it's all in the one line of braille.
So how does braille music work for keyboard music?
So typically, keyboard music has 2 staffs in print for the 2 hands. And the same is true in braille. So you have a line for the right hand and a line for the left hand. And they have a sign showing which hand at the beginning of each line. So it's on 2 lines, just as you would expect. The modern way of laying out braille music is called bar over bar. So you have the top line showing the right hand and the bottom line showing the left hand. So to give you an illustration of this, here's the beginning of a Mozart piano sonata. And this is kind of how I would learn a piece of music. So in the right hand, I've got a keyboard in front of me. I have a 5th octave C, minim, and then E crotchet, G crotchet, and then the next bar, 4th octave B dotted crotchet, C, D, C. Okay, I did 2 bars there. Normally I only learn 1 bar at once. And then I look at the left hand and it says all quavers, 4th octave, C, G, E, G. And then one of these interesting repeat signs, so I don't have to read all those notes again. I can just play it again. And then the next bar, etc. And the challenge is putting it all together.
And one of the things about keyboard music is that you often play more than one note with the same hand. How is that shown in braille music?
So that's a good question. In print music, notes to be played together as a chord are printed at the same position. Now that's obviously not possible in Braille, so instead we have a series of special signs called interval signs. And these basically say to play a second or a third or a fourth, or all the way up to an octave, we've got special signs. So a C major chord, again I'll do it on the keyboard, we have a third octave C, and with it, it has a third, so that's 1, 2, 3, and a fifth. So I play those three notes together, and there's my C major chord. So one thing that slightly complicates this is you need to know whether you're reading the left hand or the right hand. Intervals in the left hand read upwards, just like I played. Intervals in the right hand read downwards. The reason for this is because in most music, the tune, the top note in the right hand, and the bass, the bottom note in the left hand, are the most important notes. So these will always come as standard notes, and all the harmony in the middle is just detail.
That's very interesting. And what happens if there's some movement or the notes move at a different time? Can you still use interval signs then?
No, if you like, the intervals are like a shorthand for the simple cases of harmony. If you get two parts moving at different times, you have to write both parts out. And there's a special sign in Braille called an inner chord, it's a fancy way of saying with, which shows you play them together. Here's an example, the beginning of the Gymnopédie No. 1 by Erik Satie, and in my left hand, it starts by showing a G, a second octave G, and then it says, with that, play a rest, and then I've got a chord here. I should have said I'm in two sharps, so it's a B, third octave B, and a third and a fifth. So I have to put that all together, and I get 1, 2, 3, and it goes on like that.
And tell me a bit about the layout. Do you show, for example, bar numbers?
Absolutely. In the left-hand margin of each Braille system, if you like, so the top line of each Braille system, you have the bar number. Incidentally, if a piece starts before the first full bar, that's called bar 0. I used to like bar zeros because they were quite easy to learn.
Yes, you think, oh, I've learnt a whole bar now.
Might just be only one note.
Yeah, it's still progress.
Yeah. So if Braille shows the print layout, such as the print line and page divisions, then these can also be shown in the Braille. So the line numbers are to the left of the left-hand sign, where the bar numbers are to the left of the right-hand sign. I'm hoping I'm making sense. Page turns are shown in the normal way.
Okay, so we've talked a bit about piano music. Can you show, say, organ music?
Yes, sure. So what happens is you still have the right hand, and then underneath it you have the left hand, and then you have a third line which shows the pedal part, and it's really as simple as that.
It sounds quite complicated.
Well, actually, I think more of a challenge is not just reading the music, but more memorising it and putting it all together. I've had Bach pieces in 6/4 time, in semi-quaver movement, and 24 things you've got to learn one bar. It's quite a challenge.
And can you show dynamics when the music is loud or soft? And what about pedal signs?
Yeah, sure, there's signs for all this and a lot more besides. The basic dynamics, or the louds and softs in Braille, are shown by a special sign called a word expression. And that's not to be confused with song lyrics. The word expression says what follows in the music is really an expression. There are also signs for pedal or sustain, and these are some of the two-cell signs.
So you talked a bit about bar over bar format, and you said it was a modern format. Could you say something about other formats? Because that's not the only one produced, is it?
That's right. So older pieces were in a format called bar by bar, where you had the left hand and then a space and then the right hand following immediately, and then a special sign for the bar line. That's kind of considered old now, but if you borrow some books from the library, you may occasionally find that format.
I'd say more than occasionally. Okay, thank you very much for that. And remind us where we can find out more about all the signs in Braille music.
Well, there are a number of books available. If you just want to start, then RNIB has a book called Braille Music for Beginners for the Piano by Joan Partridge. It summarises the basic of Braille music and also contains plenty of exercises as you go. For those wanting a full list of everything, then the main reference book is called the New International Manual of Braille Music Notation, and that's available to download from the UCAF website at www.ukaaf.org.
Thank you, James. Could you round us off by giving us a summary of points we've covered in this podcast episode?
Yeah, sure. So we started with a refresher of Braille music basics, moved on to talk about the signs for keyboard music, such as hand signs, interval signs, the inner chord, fancy way of saying with, the bar over bar format, and pedal signs and dynamics.
And with that, in our next episode, we'll be speaking to someone who's involved in creating Braille music from print.